We're live. Welcome, everyone, to a fantastic Tuesday evening for me. Liz, it is a Wednesday afternoon for you, correct?
Yep.
So we are here to do the first podcast covering the Totem Pole. My name is Dustyn. I work on the live reality games page. I kind of structure, kind of organize, kind of help out. I've been watching these games for quite a while, and I love the Totem Pole. I started at season 1 and kept up ever since. Liz, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Liz. I host Melbourne Survivor in Melbourne. And yeah, so I have a bit of much more of a sort of survivor background than Big Brother or anything like the Totem Pole. So it's very new and exciting for me, and I love it.
And you have an episode coming out this week, right, Liz, for
I
Melbourne?
do. Yes. It's a double episode on Saturday for me. So it's like 5:30 a.m. EST, but
Approximately.
7:30 p.m. my time. So
So we'll start by kind of explaining the Totem Pole, because typically in these games, we're used to Big Brother, Survivor, but this one's a whole new structure, isn't it? That right, Liz?
yeah.
And that kind of really drew me to it, especially for we see all these versions of the games that we're used to, even the mole, but this is brand new. I feel like Wes did a really good job. He created the game. He does a little intro at the beginning of this one, kind of explaining where it came from and how it came to be, and that was really interesting, I thought. So
Yeah, it's a very different sort of format, even though it's based on these things, these other shows. I think just the fact that you're ranking people and everyone is constantly exposed, all the plans just get revealed to everyone, and yeah, I think that's a real big sort of reason to watch it, because
it's very intense.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, as opposed to the other ones, everyone pretty much votes in private, and literally there are powers in this game that expose people, and you have to vote publicly in front of people. That's a huge difference and a huge target.
Yeah. It's a whole other kind of strategy as well, and trying to make sure that you you have the right reasons for what you're doing, and you can do damage control.
Or attempt to do damage control, right?
Yeah.
It could be pretty hard if you're putting a target on somebody and put them at the bottom of the totem pole. So yeah, so the basic structure of the game, if you haven't watched, and heads up, spoiler alert, we will be talking about episode 1 and episode 2. So if you have not caught up, make sure you check out their page on YouTube. It's a great show. Like I said, the whole team does a great job. So basically, the series starts out each round. There are multiple rounds, and 2 people go home each round. The first part, there.
Did you freeze? Am I frozen as well? Help! I don't know if Dustyn's just frozen for me or frozen for everyone. So I will sit here in awkward silence and wait for something to happen.
Liz?
Hey!
Hey! We went through a time portal, I think, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that was super exciting. I have no idea where I lost track. So basically, the round goes, you start with a challenge. The winner of the challenge ranks people from top to bottom. Typically, the people on the top are more safe than the people on the bottom. And the bottom few actually are up for elimination. However, everyone on the bottom could be eligible for votes at the end of the round. And there's huge twists and stuff too, which is pretty epic in a game like this. Lots of power.
Yeah.
So this season was all about, they had a structure of baggage and how everyone goes into different games with baggage, and the trials they've been through and just some bad blood, especially, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it took me a sec to realize like what that actually meant with the people coming in. I wasn't sure who was a returnee and who was just someone new. But it was cool how they did that, like how they brought people who had like bad blood from like online reality games and stuff. Like it's good like acknowledging that because it really does come into play in these games.
Mm-hmm. And we should find out soon, too, if it really did come into play. We do have one of the people that were eliminated coming to join us pretty soon. So stick around and check that out. But in the meantime, what did you think of the challenge?
I liked it. I liked how it was like physical. I was sort of surprised by that. Like I haven't watched previous seasons of the Totem Pole. So yeah, and I liked how it was another sort of instance of like, openly showing where your allegiance kind of was lying, even so early in the game. People would get like all shocked at like someone handing them extra baggage. And yeah, people kind of had to give good explanations as to why they were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be a challenge that I would lose right off the bat. Even 10 pounds of baggage would weigh me down so much, Liz.
Same.
Like at work, I beg people to carry the change that I can't carry. I say, please carry this for me. I will break my back. So yeah, so the challenge went, there was like a race and people had weight. Whoever won the race got to give 10 pounds to whoever they wanted. And then whoever came in last had to give their baggage to somebody else. So I really like to see how that baggage carried through with the twist and with the challenge at the same time. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, yeah. It was cool, like kind of seeing people come in after like losing and the kind of straps that happened there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when people got eliminated, they were able to chat like on the top and just watch the challenge as it progressed. So I feel like there was a lot of big gameplay that was happening too, a lot of early connections.
Yeah, yeah. In a way, it's almost like you want to be out early in that challenge so that you can do that. But then there were also some alliances that happened while the challenge was happening with the people competing, where they said, I'll, us three kind of stick together here, or if I win, I won't put you at the bottom, kind of thing. So,
and we'll see how well those promises last, right?
Yeah.
So actually, what we thought was interesting too. So throughout the game, similar to Survivor, how they hide the idol, this game actually hides like power advantages. Kind of like New School Survivor, how they do like advantages like that. But this one, there's like little playing cards with powers on them, and one was sitting right near the people that got eliminated, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. Yeah.
Well, Sabrina.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Eventually, one of the cast people, Sabrina, which we'll get to shortly, one of my personal favorites, and I think yours too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She actually found it. Like everyone was just walking past. Like you've watched this game before, you know things are hidden. Everyone coming in has watched the game, it sounded like.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. Maybe it's just been hidden in different places before. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're like, it's too early. But then I feel like immediately after they were looking for it.
What was the power she got anyway? What did Sabrina get? Was it an expose?
I think it was an exposed card, yeah.
Okay. And those are rough. Like people have to vote publicly for whoever you vote out. Just imagine people on Survivor instead of going back to the booth, having to vote for somebody right at Tribal Council.
Yes.
That would be rough. So besides that misadvantage, we talked about Sabrina a little bit. Sabrina is one of the cast members. Sabrina is a huge, I guess, winner in live reality games. She played one of my favorites, produced by Victory House from Big Brother Columbus. Really well done, a Big Brother game. So spoiler alert for that one. Sorry, but if you watched the episode, you would have got spoiled anyway. So I'm just throwing that out there. They spoiled it first. I spoiled it second, I guess. So, but I'm really liking how she's connecting with people and talking and getting little good vibes here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's just very aware. Like she's just I mean the fact that she saw the card and like no one else did, but then she also seems quite like perceptive and
Yeah.
like, you know, knows what's going on.
Yeah, even earlier too in the episode, there was a ranking system with squares for all the contestants to put their little faces in. It sounds weird putting little faces into something. I don't know. They're like on blocks, people. So watch the episode. If but hopefully you've already watched it watching this. So, but she noticed that there were 10 people in the living room together when they announced it, and she counted the spots, and there was 14. So she already had more knowledge sitting there in the first 30 seconds.
Who counts? I wouldn't have noticed that.
Sabrina, you have both of us beat. That is for sure. So.
Yeah.
But one of the first people introduced and a big game player in the challenge was Derek.
Yeah.
He was the first person introduced to of the cast. So, thoughts about Derek?
Derek is interesting. He's definitely like one of the most like sort of memorable players here. I feel like he's gone soon because he's doing a lot and not all of it is maybe beneficial. Like I think people are starting to not trust him. And we saw in the challenge when you know he made that kind of cool move of hanging back to let Asher go through. Was that what happened? Yeah. Yeah, and
that's exactly right.
I was like, yes, that's what you do. That is a good plan. That's a great social game. And then cuts to a confessional of Asher, and she's like, nah, he's just doing that with an ulterior motive. And I was like, oh, okay.
But
and
it seemed like Asher kind of had Derek pinned. Like,
yeah.
So as we progress in the episode, we'll find out why. But speaking of Asher she was my favorite. Like, she was so sweet, so nice, maybe a little bit too nice, maybe a lot too nice. I don't know.
Yeah, I really liked Asha in the second episode. I think in the first one, I was confused about why she thought that, you know, that Derek had ulterior motives and stuff, and why Shane was just being nice. But in the second episode, it you know that proved to be kind of true, and so I thought, oh, maybe she can, you know, grab the footing here and get through. Yeah, I was really cheering for her. Really bummed.
Let's see. Who else was on the cast you want to talk about? Any personal favorites that stuck out to you?
Well, my favorite from the first episode was Nicole. So things are working out great here.
We picked terrible winner picks, I guess, Liz. We have a curse built in, maybe.
Yeah. But I'm also really enjoying Josh. I find he's just very lively and like in with people. And I think, yeah, like maybe was a point against him that he was believing this idea about the trio and stuff. But at the same time, it's good that he's doing something and going with, you know, the general idea of what people think.
I thought he was super likable. Like, it's somebody that you could trust right away and just super easy to talk to, even though, like, we haven't met in person, of course. But I'd be like, oh, Josh, you want to hang out or something?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think one of the most over-the-top people, too, was Tessa.
Yes, I love Tessa. Yeah, so fun to watch.
Like right out of her mouth, she said, oh, I just want to play like a low-key game, just like play under the radar, just take it easy. And here she wins the whole challenge, too.
Yes. Oh, that's great.
You mentioned Shane a little earlier. Shane sounds like he works for like reality shows, like Big Brother, that kind of thing, which I think might be an edge. Like, he's seen people play, and so he should have an advantage for that, I think.
Yeah, and he seems pretty like under the radar as well. Yeah, he's like, people know that he's socially good, I think, but he's not seen as a threat yet.
Yeah, because he did something similar to what Derek did, but like in a different way. When people got eliminated, he didn't, I guess, bring attention to that he was helping out people carry the
Yeah.
bags back to the starting line. He just kind of did it more under the radar. I guess that's the right word for that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the way to do it. The way to do
Mhm.
a lot of things in a game like this, I guess.
Who else is on the cast? We talked about like a trio. So there was a rumor that Jada, Asher, and Madison were seen as a tight three.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I just love how Madison is like, I can't be in an alliance with these people. I don't like them.
I remember there was a little part in the first episode when one of the returnees came out. They were all sitting right together and they were all jumping down, up and down about
Yeah.
the person coming back. So I was like, I can see where somebody would kind of slip that rumor in that they were friends before. So I think
Yeah,
it was,
was it Cardia who they were getting excited about?
yeah. So Kadia was one of the biggest personalities in season one. She was fantastic, over the top, and like she says in her interview pregame, she's like, I just, took it too easy. I believed in people too much, and now she's back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
However, she's also back with a boot, a very big boot.
Yes. But I don't know if that's like, I feel like that's maybe not a, it's not a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like it could be in the sense that people might not want to team up with her if she's not going to be able to, keep them off the bottom and whatever. But on the other hand, like she's not a threat to win challenges if she is against you.
So, and then the other returning player is Jace from season 2.
Yes.
Jace was one of the most strategic people, I think, in season 2, and just, just couldn't get to the end, I guess you could say. So he seems to have a really big target on him right away, though. He's like a stronger, more fit guy, and he just has a huge target. Like everyone's.
Yeah. It's weird because like he has a target, but people seem to want to use him as a shield as well. So it's like this. I feel like that's going to continue for a little bit. There's going to be this sort of like battle between people who want him out and people who want him as a shield.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that goes. Additionally, Jackie ended up in the bottom, and she saved herself, which was great.
Yeah, keen on Jackie, and she's hanging in there, doing well.
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was interesting because her baggage twist was Luke. I guess they were friends previously, maybe in college, but then kind of had a falling out.
Yeah, I guess. Like we didn't really hear, I guess, what happened with it. Maybe it's too like sort of personal, but yeah. I think both of them probably have kind of a bit of a hard road coming into this with that kind of type of baggage.
Any comments on Luke's outfit per se, his style, perhaps? Very unique, right?
Yeah, it's great. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a good thing to stand out or like a bad thing. I think it might actually be sort of a good thing because it sort of makes you more like approachable or noticeable as someone to talk to.
I was just surprised how fast he could run in those tight pants too. I was like, oh dear, you're gonna like rip him or something.
Flew through that.
Also, speaking of people on the bottom, we mentioned her in the trio that was famously named and unfortunately was the downfall of one of them. Jada, super cool.
Yeah, Jada's pretty cool.
Now, see, I think with the editing that we've seen so far in the episodes, I think she's got like maybe getting pretty far. Like there were a lot of good attributes to her. So
yeah, I feel like I didn't remember as much of Jada as I did of other people. But yeah, I do kind of get that sense that like we're gonna see more of her later.
Mm-hmm. The last person we haven't talked about. What did you think of Connor?
Connor's great. I really liked him. I feel like he's he's navigating things pretty well. He has really good reactions to stuff. So it's pretty fun to watch. Yeah.
I'm surprised in his pre-game stuff he was talking about just in front of the camera, like introductions and stuff. He mentioned that he had applied for so many of these games and he wasn't cast, and I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it does sound like, because he was one of the people that had the baggage twist thrown at him. So, as we'll find out pretty soon from herself in person, Nicole will be joining us here pretty soon. It was, I guess, Nicole and Connor. They played some online games, had a bad blood thing going on. So they were kind of hoping.
One of them, Nicole had voted him out heaps of times or something. I don't. Was that what it was?
Heaps of times. I think that was exactly what they said too. Heaps of times.
And like early, like he kept going early or something. And yeah. So I could understand why for Connor that would be like, yeah, I want to get her out immediately.
So as we'll find out soon, Nicole ended up unfortunately at the bottom, and the biggest downfall was her trust in Derek. Oh, what did you think of that move?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I didn't really know like what else she could have done, but like it seems like that was a perfectly good idea. Like because he said that he would, we saw in flashbacks and stuff that he said he would save her, and then he apparently didn't remember. So it's just kind of like bad luck, I guess. Yeah, because like it wasn't even like she had to pick up sneaky vibes or something. Because like apparently he wasn't being sneaky. He just legitimately just didn't remember doing that, and so thought that he had it.
Yeah, and I think that happens too with especially games going on. You're so like overwhelmed with what's going on, all of the details. You're meeting all these people. You say a bunch of things, and unfortunately, you do forget sometimes.
Yeah, and I think we'll see like people forget other things as well. Maybe like forget who voted against them, or forget like who who placed them. Yeah, where certain people were placed on the poll and stuff like that.
But like we talked about, like the advantage of getting out early in the challenge was to go have that conversation up on the porch. And that was part of the big game moves that were really like, I think Kadia was up there, Nicole was up there, and maybe another person, but he promised them to keep him safe, and it did not work out.
Yeah.
Now, what I thought was interesting, having watched the other seasons, this was the first time I think we've ever seen not a save at first. It was a huge move, and I don't know, I think it was too much of a power play right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen like the repercussions of that yet because this is the first season I've watched, so I can't really weigh in. I think I was hoping that he would save her because like Nicole's great. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I really expected him to do. Because wasn't it different? Like it was a different situation to previous ones.
Yeah, they kind of switched it up too. So if you saved somebody, you would unleash a twist, I guess, or something, which we haven't seen yet. I know there was a new episode that just got released tonight. I'm not covering that one, not yet. Next time, of course, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
And then, so fortunately, Nicole gets voted out, but Derek gets a huge power. He gets to stop somebody from voting and steal their vote at the end.
Yeah.
Which I think was a huge advantage for Luke, by the way. Like, so Derek chose to steal Luke's vote, so Luke didn't get to vote.
Yeah.
That's no blood on his hands. He's in the best spot right now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like in a game like this where like everyone's exposed all the time, when you get a chance to like not expose what you're thinking, like that's great.
Yeah, but somebody who can fill us in a little bit more about that Derek decision is Nicole. Nicole is going to join us right here, so we'll welcome Nicole. Nicole, welcome.
Hey. Oh, we can't hear you.
We'll find out very soon about the decision to choose Derek. So,
Yeah, I'm keen.
mhm.
Oh,
She'll
no.
be right back, folks. So, but we can finish up by saying, so Derek stole Luke's vote, and then Luke got no blood on his hands, which I think was huge, especially in an early round. You don't want to make anybody mad, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But would it maybe backfire in the sense that people could be suspicious of Luke because they don't know where he stands? Or
Very true. I think he's got a clean slate right now, so that might be a good way to just stick around for a few times and just call it good. But then, unfortunately, at the end, we did have to lose my favorite person, Asher, which was
yeah,
huge, like downfall. Um, she was probably too passive. Like she was, like I said, just way too nice. So,
yeah, maybe a little quiet as well. I don't know.
mhm.
I think maybe she just seems quite. I think she like her voice is sort of quiet, so maybe it means maybe that plays into things.
I think
Maybe
she was a teacher, right? Probably like preschool, right? Wouldn't you love to have like a teacher like that, like with green
yeah,
hair, super cool.
yes. Oh my gosh.
All right, so we're gonna try Nicole. Perfect.
All right,
Nicole,
yeah. Can
welcome.
you hear me?
Hey, yeah, we can hear.
Fantastic.
I allowed the wrong microphone, so I had to switch my settings. All right, welcome. I just came from a virtual murder mystery where I was Mary Poppins, so I let my hair down, but I'm still in my little fancy, uptight Mary Poppins outfit, so you'll have to forgive me a little bit.
So, okay, question about the murder mystery. Did you kill him, or was
I
it
did
somebody else?
not, although I was set up to be framed because they used my umbrella, but
Oh.
that being
Ooh.
said, the obvious killer was the killer, and I should have just went with the obvious guess, and I did not. So I did not win, but that's okay. I'm used to not winning.
Speaking of that, we just covered it, Nicole. It was perfect timing on your part. Speaking, you said you didn't pick the right winner. Did you pick the right defender for you?
So here's the thing. If you're down at the beginning, you kind of have to still think long term. So I think from talking with everyone, maybe 3 people would have saved me. The problem is one of them was Connor, and that would have ruined my long-term game because you already come in with baggage and you don't get along supposedly, but you pick that person and they save you. I mean, that's going to put a target on you. Tessa says she would have picked me, but there's no way in hell I would have picked her. I mean, you don't let someone put you second to bottom and then be like, sure, I'll pick you as my defender. And granted, she's the only person that would have been safe no matter what because she had the incentive. But I thought we were good. And I mean, we were, and she had, we can talk later about kind of her thought process. But when you think you're good with someone and then you end up in the bottom, you're definitely not going to pick them as the defender.
No, she was such a wild card too, I thought. So
she definitely was. And then, I mean, Jace said, I mean, we were, if we get through this together, we got to work together, all those things. And he says he would have saved me, but I wouldn't have picked him either because we all know that there's that save out there that potentially the second to bottom goes home. And we all know Jace knows that save is in there. Yeah. So when he's down there staring at it and saying, I got a chance to come back in the game, am I going to risk this round 1? So, I mean, I would have looked like Boo Boo the Fool if Connor sent me home, if Tessa sent me home. And, Jace had a valid reason for not wanting to save me being second to last. So Derek was the only one that unapproached came to me twice and said, I will save you. We're the oldest people in the game. We need to stick together. Like, we knew some mutual people in the org community. We kind of bonded over that. And out of the, unprovoked was saying, I will have your back. He said, if you need someone to have your back in this game, I will have your back. If you're ever in the bottom, I will save you. And that's what you see on the deck is the I will save you part. Mm-hmm. And then when Kadia was asking me, well, I mean, it was kind of an assumption she would be the switch. Who would you pick? And I said, Derek's standing right next to her. And I said, well, I'll pick Derek because he'd already told me that on the deck. And he says, I got you. I got you 100%. I'll save you. And so when he's like, you never asked me to save you, I said, I didn't know I had to ask you. You offered twice. So did I make the right choice? I don't know. I mean, the defender switch, I think it's going to be really hard for people going forward, especially walking in. I mean, these aren't people that have gone to college with each other and kind of know of each other, and there's not the social pressure of people staring at you while you pick a card. So when you're down there alone and it's someone you just met 30 minutes ago, who's going to pick save? I mean, Connor maybe would have picked save because I keep saying I was the devil he knew versus the devil he didn't. But again, I mean, at least I don't look completely stupid, I guess.
No, you didn't look stupid at all. Actually, Liz was just saying how she was a big fan of yours. So
yeah, you were my favorite, like F1.
I'm sorry.
You did not let us down. You stuck up for yourself after that Derek thing, and it was really very something. Great television, I guess.
I mean, and it wasn't even the half. I mean, it went on, and the two best things I said didn't even make it. I was sad, but that's okay.
Well, now's your time. What did you say?
Well, when you heard him say, he kept saying, I didn't say anything to you. And I said, out there on the deck, not 20 minutes ago, you came to me and said you would save me. I did not ask. And he said, well, you can try to tell everybody that if you want. And I'm standing behind the couch and I go, I just did. I just told everyone. Now they know. And so that's why he was like, for the fourth time, he was trying to get me to be quiet. And God love him. I mean, I come off as very personable. And that's not that I'm not very personable, but I've always been loud, and my mom can vouch for that. So I think he thought, because he was like, oh, Nicole's going to be pissed. But I think in his brain, he was thinking, well, she'll be out the door. It won't hurt my game. And I'll be damned if you don't promise me twice, and I'm not going to go out the door and say something because, like, come on. I mean, if he hadn't promised me anything, I've been like, I get it, totally understand. But you don't come to me twice and say, I got you, and then expect me to be like, oh, shucks. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I'm glad I had the chance to say my piece, but I'm sad I only played like 30 minutes. I played more in the mini the other night than I played in the actual game.
Well, I'm glad you made it here with us tonight. Like I said, I really appreciate you coming. I know Liz does, and the whole Live Reality Games page really appreciates it, and we're just so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. I love to talk, so.
So you kind of spoke about coming in with being Connor's baggage, per se. Did you know what that kind of entailed? Did you know Connor was playing?
No, I didn't know Connor was playing, but I had kind of a feeling that that's who I would be, kind of matched up with. And I think Luke was probably pretty confident on who his baggage was. I mean, he had a pretty personal relationship. They'd watched the game together before. So I think he was pretty confident. We got a little bit of time to talk, in the doorway when we were waiting, but I wasn't super nervous because Connor doesn't seem to be the kind that takes things personal. But I was a little nervous that he would know my game and know that I am strategic and I'm strong. So I was more concerned not about him holding a grudge, but more about him sharing more information than I wanted to be shared.
Gotcha.
I know I'm sideways and I don't know how to figure. Oh, there we go.
No, you're not sideways at all. You are
okay.
Fine by me.
Yeah, so I knew that it would be an org-related situation. Those are the only people I knew that knew about the game, and I knew that anybody that knew me in org, I do sometimes get clocked for having connections because I'm a host, or people assume because you're a host, you either know how other people play or you are some kind of great strategist. So I was just a little nervous with coming in with that perception. I mean, Josh knows me as well. Josh and I were supposed to play Mayhem together. So, I mean, we had mutual friends. So, I mean, I guess even if Connor and I weren't baggage, there was that potential anyway. But a lot of the people who weren't in the org community, I don't think really understood that orgs existed. So I think that kind of helped on that end a little bit. I mean, did it really? I don't know. But
so really, was it just Josh and Connor? I know Sabrina is kind of in more the live games community,
Yeah,
But
she's played org since,
okay.
but prior to that, no, I don't think so. I know Josh knew that she played BB Columbus because he mentioned it, but I don't know if anyone else there knew.
Gotcha.
And I didn't know Derek, although as soon as it was announced he was on the cast, my best friend came running and said, "Oh my God, I played Instagram games with him. You can't trust him." And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
Oh,
oh
you
no.
need to listen to this friend a little bit more, Nicole.
well,
So
it would have been nice to have known that 4 months ago before I went to the house."
Oh my
But just that he plays kind of an aggressive, kind of snaky game. So if I had known him, it would have been a better situation. I knew a little bit what to expect from Josh. I knew a little bit of how Connor's game is. I know Connor takes, risks in games, and he is willing to kind of stick his neck out there on the line for his alliances. So, I mean, that was a positive thing I was bringing into the game. It just sucks that it was the one org player that I didn't know that I needed to watch out for. So, I mean, good on him. I mean, I think he thought it bettered his game. I personally never would have took power on round one, which I think might help some first bottoms in future seasons, because at the airport I was making my game plan and I said I probably will take power any round as long as it's not my number one ally, because I didn't want to end up what happened in season 2 where there's no saves left. Season 1 as well, but season 2 it was where an ally ended up sending an ally home because there were no saves left. So
yeah.
My plan was to take power, but not on round 1, because I'm like, I don't want to look snaky on round 1. I don't want anyone to think if I pick her, she's going to pick save, and then she won't pick save, and then there's that there's no element of surprise. Then you can't make a big move if people already round 1 think, well, she might pick power. You may never become a defender again at that point. So so I had thought about it. I literally had thought, and I thought, he won't pick power. That's a terrible move. Which is why I said that was a terrible game move. That's the first thing I said. That was a terrible game move.
Yeah, we don't know if it's going to be a terrible game move or be like the stepping stone.
I haven't watch the episode yet, so I don't even know what happened. Are you going to fill me in?
We haven't watched it either, so we are only on episode 1, episode 2, so we are right there with you.
I, in general, know what happened, and this is what, I'm super excited for this episode, so I'm going to watch it as soon as we're done here. And I suggest you do the same.
Maybe Liz will. Liz, if you're unfamiliar, Nicole, Liz is the host of Melbourne Survivor.
Okay.
And I kind of do the background stuff for Live Reality Games, the page. So
Liz may be the one that I was talking with in Live Reality Games about how hard it is to get women to play.
Yes.
Because you were saying I've had 3 women apply, and I'm like, I'm not in Australia and I can't get women to apply. It's so hard. I don't. And Totem Pole had 8 women. I walked into 8 women and 5 men, and I'm like,
it's like, where did you find these people?
Some of them at his college, so we may need to go. We need to go to Arkansas and get some people.
Survivors and I don't know what else did colleges do, Big Brothers and stuff.
Some of the ones in America do. I know Maryland does one. Pittsburgh, I think, is based around a college. There's quite a few college related ones. And I know a lot of people are able to balance the genders, but I mean, I'm not willing to hold up my cast forever just to balance genders.
Yeah, we had this conversation with Cooper. He's the host of Survivor Michigan on a podcast earlier, and his numbers are always pretty even. Because of the success that he has had so far, he has a good applicant pool, and they always have a lot of new applicants and people to look over. So surprisingly, he doesn't have that. But I know there's a big gender difference in these games like this. And why do you think that is?
I'm just going to say to Cooper, Michigan's only 4 hours from me, so send me those emails. I don't know. I have a couple of theories, and I have not taken gender studies or anything like that. But, I mean, as a mom, I have less ability, but my kids are teenagers now, so that's why I play now. I think a lot of it is just... I struggle to say this, but maybe Liz will back me up. I feel like women mature a lot faster than men, and they get deeper into wanting to grow up faster. And I wish I hadn't done that. I mean, I bought my first house at 21 and got into debt immediately. And like, I think a lot of it just is like a personality change where guys are still having fun and girls are thinking, oh God, I got to get a career and I got to get a husband and I don't think all women are like that, but I think that a lot of my friends who are women have relationships and children and they don't put themselves first sometimes. And so then they feel guilty doing things that are for themselves. But if I'm not having fun and being happy, then how are my children and my family going to be happy? So that's kind of how I phrase it. But also, I'm in my 30s with teenagers, and not every woman in their 30s are. I can't speak about 20-year-olds because it's been too long. But I do know, I think a lot of the reason you're not getting 30 and 40-year-old women is because they're raising children and multitasking and doing a lot of stuff. I could be completely wrong, but that's why I didn't until my kids got. After one of them starts driving, things change.
Then they can take each other places, and you don't have to worry about it. Just drive safe. That's all.
And
we
you
need.
know, if you're in Arkansas and something happens, someone can still. If someone gets left at a football game, your son can go pick them up or something like that. So there's just a lot of less stress and a lot less worry from my perspective now. There's whole other worries for other reasons, but we won't talk about that.
Do you think that's right, Liz, or just generally speaking?
Yeah, I think I think another thing is like just the idea of like competition. Like I feel like a lot of women when they're younger are not encouraged as much to be competitive as say like boys are. So I think that comes into it. I think a lot of women who I talk to who I try to like get to apply, you know, yeah, sometimes it's like you said, like they have all these other commitments and stuff. But sometimes it's also like they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, or some also will go in like thinking that they're not going to do well because they're not going to be good at challenges. Like, people who don't know Survivor as much. Yeah, and then it's like, but like I know you, like you would be like inherently like good at this because like you're so, you know, social and you know you would know how to react to these things. Yeah, and they just sort of get hung up on the challenges a bit.
Do you think there's a difference too in like the style of game, like Survivor versus the Totem Pole? Like Survivor, you're out in the wilderness, you're building a camp. Totem Pole, it looked like you were in a fabulous house.
We were in a fabulous house. The only thing was that fabulous house was at the top of a very steep hill, but otherwise it was very nice. And I won't lie. I mean, I have hypoglycemia and I have to be on hormones, and I would hesitate from a nutritional standpoint. I don't know if I physically could survive on rice or things like that. But I think that's just a health concern I have. I don't think it's because I'm female. I mean, I guess the hormone part is, but I feel like that's probably individual. But I also hate camping. I grew up in the country. I can run around barefoot, but I don't want to sleep on the ground and I don't want to smell. So
and that is the big thing, having played Survivor before. Yes, like the live reality game version from like Coco Pale and stuff. You, after like 4 days, everyone just kind of smells, and then nobody's
Wesley gave us a shower schedule and the house was losing it. Like, I can only shower at a certain time. And then he's like, after midnight, anybody can shower, and all the night owls were like, whatever, we don't care, we'll be up. But yeah, we had people losing it. 14 people with 3 showers. We had 3 bathrooms. And people were like, I only have 20 minutes in the bathrooms.
That would kill me, I think. Like I would do better just having like no shower sleeping on the ground rather than like trying to organize when I have a shower.
You should try it. Apply for the Totem Pole. I'm sure you can do it if you can sleep on the ground.
Now Liz is the host. Liz, I don't even know if you played, like, have you ever done the Survivor experience?
I haven't done the sleeping on the ground thing really. Like I've done it sort of just camping in general, but like I haven't. Yeah, I played like 4 times, but like 2 of them were like just day ones. And then one of them I didn't,
Didn't need
She
to
was
sleep on
voted
the
out
ground.
first. That's what she's saying. So we all have
There is
those games,
nothing
right?
wrong with that.
Exactly.
Well,
Even like, what was the experience behind, even if it was a shorter game than what you were probably expecting? Like, what did you take from this? Like, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm drawn to hear. So
yeah, I mean, the first time I played was really cool because it was like it was on a beach kind of situation, like like a lake, and I think that was like sort of the almost like the best time, because it was all new and it was like, oh, I feel like I'm on Survivor, like this is really cool, and everything was exciting, and then like the next time when it was like over a day or so, it was more sort of stressful and less of that survivory feel. It was more just like,
did you get the same experience, Nicole, being followed around with cameras? Did you feel like you were in like the Big Brother house per se?
So I think my biggest kind of takeaway is, okay, I have a during game and a post game takeaway, but during the game, I mean, I can just talk and like I'm kind of oblivious to stuff like that. So the cameras didn't bother me. I think what was surprising to me was how people froze. And I mean, I've hosted some little minis at my house and people are just kind of, and so I don't know if it was camera related or not, but for example, when all 8 or 9 people got down in a circle on the floor, and I know they didn't show that very much, the 5 people in the background were just like, well, that sucks. And they just stood there. And I'm like, we should go down there. And I kept saying something and nobody would move. So I'm like, excuse me. And I walked in front of people and got in the circle because you need to be inserting yourself in the game. Or when Kadia asked Tessa if she could talk. And I'm like, I am going in that room. Like, I don't want one person being in there with the top of the totem pole. But maybe 3 people came in. But then 5 minutes later, maybe people started doing something. But I don't know if it was like the fear of how they would be perceived or if it was just because a lot of them don't play org, so they just didn't know a strategy. But I think that surprised me the most. And then post the game, the confessional surprised me the most. I'm surprised at what people were acting like in the game versus how they were portraying their game kind of in the confessional. And I was only there a very short time. So I'm sure it continues as the game goes on. But Tessa was dead silent. But in her confessional, she is the life of the party. And that is really who Tessa is. She definitely is the life of the party. But in the game, she was just kind of shut down. And so I know we see the live feeds and things like that, but I guess it just kind of gave me a whole new perception. I'm sure Liz, as a host, has seen it time and time again, how people perceive their game is going versus how their game is actually going.
Well, I'm curious. Would you ever want to do one of these games again? Maybe a Survivor? We talked about like the health concerns you do have, but maybe a possible like Big Brother kind of thing, Nicole. Like, can we see you again?
Absolutely. So here's the thing: once you flop, and it's not the end of the world, like I had a grieving period where I'm like, oh God, I'm embarrassed. Oh, this sucks. I'm the oldest person. People are gonna laugh at me. But then I was like, you know what? I got on. I met some great people. Like, I had a lot of fun. And you know what? It was really funny. A guy did an educ and he said, I feel like Nicole should be in a really bad position because of her age, but she's so hyped about this game, there's no way she goes out round 1. And I'm like, great. That's exactly, like, I want people to think I'm hyped about the game because I am. Wesley busted his butt for this game. Yeah. And he did a great job, and the cast deserves it. And just because this situation happened to me doesn't mean that I shouldn't be hyped about the game. So that made me feel better. And I don't want to be first food again, but if I am, I can shine that diamond up and make it look nice. So I definitely would. I would love to play Survivor. I don't know why you have to feed people carbs. Like, it's just not.
Well, something else.
I mean, if I run a reward, could I get a hamburger?
A hamburger.
Yes. I mean,
I was thinking just instead of rice, be like everyone gets like carrot sticks. Can you do carrot sticks and celery? How's that? Like a healthy version of Survivor.
I can, but the problem is I have hypoglycemia, so I need like sugar.
Sugar. Okay, candy bar. There you go.
Yeah, just give a protein bar. If I had a protein bar, I'm allergic to tropical fruit. That's why I can't go on Survivor. literally allergic to mango, pineapple, olive, coconut. I'm allergic to. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. But maybe in Australia you have fruit that I'm not allergic to, so I can come down there. She's saying no.
Oh.
I'm like, what do we have?
I have no idea.
Nicole's gonna die. Okay, well, Big Brother. I would like to play Big Brother in the mole then.
There you go.
The mole seems very fun. Or, you know what? If someone could host a whodunit, I'm all for that. That was
Oh my
the
gosh,
best
that was
show.
such a great show.
So good. One season cries.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. There's always like in the future, you know, if these live reality games are expanding, you know, we're covering new stuff like the Totem Pole. We're doing other stuff that's parodied after like Survivor, Big Brother, The Mole. So maybe there's one that wants to do a whodunit. So
pretty soon you can do Ascendance Live.
yeah.
When we get our game going. If COVID lets us in October, we will do our season. So hopefully in the fall we'll have some episodes. I don't know how to edit anything, so that's all in Matthew's court. But I plan the game, and then somebody else needs to do the technical stuff.
Tell us about the game, Ascendance. What's that?
So I haven't been able to fix the jury portion of the game, which I feel is somewhat flawed, but I wanted to give people multiple ways to kind of save their game. So Ascendance, I say it's Big Brother and Survivor had a baby. There's a little tiny element of the genius, but not enough to really mention. But we have one or two, we'll call them captains every round. So there'll be a captain's challenge. That person will be safe. And then they round robin pick teams. And then those teams have a team challenge, and the losing team sends someone home. And then there's a new captain's challenge, and there's a new usually one or two captains. They pick all new groups. You do a whole new challenge. So there's the layer of if you win, you're safe, but you are showing your hand, similar to the Totem Pole where you're ranking people or picking people. And then your vote is completely different. You're not voting to keep the tribe strong. You're voting for yourself every round, because I don't care if Dustyn's the suckiest tribe member ever. He may not even be on my team next round. So it just adds a little bit of element of strategy to where do you want to take the safety and show your cards? Do you want to? There's a lot of contemplating of throwing of challenges in our game because there's targets on the other side. I know. They usually don't end up throwing, but there's always that temptation because people get in alliances. Well, your alliance is split up, and I need to save Dustyn, so I'm going to throw the challenge to save Dustyn. But do you really want to throw the challenge to save Dustyn? So
Dustin's the worst teammate already. So you know.
So I mean, it's a good combined element, usually to around 8 people or so, and then it goes more into Survivor. And there's a little bit of an element of like a co-captain. So like if you win, you can keep someone safe. That we kind of threw that in to keep. I got it from the genius, but to keep people who walk into merge in a minority, to give them a little bit of a footing to say Dustyn and Liz are together. There's 5 other people. If Dustyn's safe, he can save Liz. Now the big group has to turn on itself. So
now that would be fun.
Yeah.
So there's just a little bit more element where I wanted people that would walk into an org and just steamroll because they knew the format and they knew the people. You just can't do that. You can't get a good tribe and write it to the merge. You every round are having to scrap and fight. So that's what I hope it is to people.
So you're currently just doing an org right now, but you have the idea of doing a live version. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have a cast. We have had 2 women drop, and I'm really struggling to replace those 2 women. So if I have a very, very small female cast, I mean, it is what it is. But we plan to film in October if COVID stays okay in Indiana. Most of our cast is kind of Midwest drivable.
Okay.
So we're hoping we can continue to film. If not, we're going to have to move it to the spring because it's too cold in Indiana to fall. Do a November or December cast. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got like a similar situation here. Like planning October, probably going to move to like April so we can use fire.
We will be in a house and we will be warm, but our challenge is outside. I just don't feel like you can predict the weather enough in the Midwest to know.
No. Yeah, from Michigan too. It's like, what are you going to do? Run outside, like make a snowman? One of these challenges? Like whoever has the biggest structure out of snow wins.
Throw the coffee in the air.
That'd be terrible. Like I am not a fan of the cold. Like I'd be like, I'm going to sit this one out, guys.
Why do we live here? Why do we live here?
I don't know why we put it through. Liz probably doesn't experience snow, do you?
No, I've been to the snow, like gone up to the mountain where there's snow and stuff, but I haven't, had to shovel snow out of my driveway or anything. So
I don't shovel either. It's all Kirk.
Michigan snow is different than Indiana snow, though. My friend that moved to Michigan, they plow it and it's 8 foot high in front of their driveway sometimes.
Wow.
Don't envy you. Yeah. I will stop complaining, but yeah, we hope to do October, but like Liz said, it may be more like March or April.
Well, where do we find more information about this? Do you have like a Facebook or website? Like, what's going on?
We do have a website as well, but our Facebook group is more up to date because we post things pretty frequently. So if you just search Ascendance.org or facebook.com/group/Ascendance.org, and you can join the group. We actually are having our All-Star season premiere Friday. So if you want to follow a season from the get-go and watch the best of the best battle it out, our alumni is really passionate. They're really involved. They begged to come back. So we're excited to see the knockdown drag out that's going to be this season.
It sounds super fun.
Yeah,
it's fun to host. I wouldn't want to play.
Liz, any further questions for Nicole?
I don't think so. Maybe just did you come out of the game with regrets? Like, how did you feel coming out of the game?
February was a very, very rough personal month for me. I had a lot of family things going on. I almost bailed. I almost emotionally was like, I can't handle this. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to go. I'm going to have fun. And then 30 minutes in, I was out and I'm like, God dang, I should have listened to my intuition. But like I said, I had some time to deal with that. The people were great. We had a lot of fun, in the evenings and after filming and all that. So I'm definitely glad I went. I think I had a little bit of a priority shift. I've won a few orgs and my passion for orgs had kind of maybe subsided a little bit. And so going in the game, I hadn't felt that wanting to win in a while. And so wanting to win and then going out first kind of reignited kind of my passion for competitiveness. So I'm kind of glad that maybe I didn't do so well. I need to kind of retool that. And also people don't always play like me. I thought in live games you'd be able to read people a little bit better. But Tessa, like you said, was a wild card. We were personally good, but she got overwhelmed. I know you couldn't see on the camera as well, but I mean, she was literally shaking while she was placing the tiles. You could see she couldn't get them in very well. She was almost crying. I was saying, it's okay. Just place me where you need. And that was just, I'm going to be in the bottom anyway. Just put me, who cares? Just put me somewhere, because she was having distress. And so just understanding that there's factors and unique formats that you just can't control because they're different. Yeah. So just being a little bit more, fluid, or a little bit more, a little less rigid, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think this game is just so it's brutal. The way that the totem pole is structured, it's just everything's out in public. You have to make those decisions pretty much on the spot. You're going to show your hand, and there's no way around it, unlike hiding in Survivor or Big Brother.
And when you have power, you have power. And when you don't have power, you really don't have any power in this game. I mean, in round one, you don't even have social relationships or, hey, I saved you. You don't have anything to bargain with. The best I could say is I'll have your back.
Yeah.
I'll return the favor. I mean, there wasn't a lot to do, but I will say the defender twist is, I think, going to add an interesting dynamic. I do think maybe more time needs to be built into the round. My portion maybe was 30 minutes. And then it was 2.5 hours because the, confessionals and voting and stuff for the next round. So those people before the vote had hours to bond and talk through the theories. And I had 5 minutes before the placement of the totem pole, about 7 or 8 minutes while we were voting for the switch. And then when I got switched, I immediately had to walk around the couch and pick someone.
Wow.
So, I mean, there just wasn't, when am I going to ask someone? If I hadn't already thought Kadia maybe might switch me, she said, who would you pick as a defender? I said, do not put me in the bottom. You don't know my luck. I will go home. Oh, no, you won't. I will go home. So, I mean, that was the amount of negotiating I had. So I think maybe if they keep this Defender twist, maybe I will encourage maybe a little bit more time, or maybe a more interactive, maybe a less baggage driven challenge, because I just did a challenge where I had to give weight to people, and then now I'm like, please don't send me home. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it
No,
was tough.
I did see the Totem Pole's website too. They are welcoming 2 suggestions to twists and stuff, which is very interesting to get that input from the audience. So I really appreciate that too. Trying to structure a whole brand new game that Wes just kind of created a few years ago and has done multiple iterations of it. So it's really nice that he's still taking that feedback and taking those considerations. So
I would suggest you get on the website and also Patreon. If you want to play the minis and get a little bit of experience, he has a $5 tier. They do minis once a month. Some of the alumni play. I think 4 of us played in the last one. There's higher tiers, like if you're looking to get some consultation. I mean, Wes does marketing. He's been really successful at this. So if you have an idea, he even has a tier where he can kind of mentor you. I've suggested a tier of where maybe alumni can mentor people who want to apply. We're just trying to do a lot to like grow just the community and the awareness, because I feel like if one LRG does well, we all do well.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting there as a team too. We're just building a community and getting the word out there and just bringing people together. So
I agree. I appreciate what you're doing, because this is, I think, getting people excited is half the battle.
And literally around the world, we're doing it now. So
yeah.
Well, I got Indiana covered. I'll leave that to y'all.
Nicole, any final thoughts? Any final things to say? Just anything?
I really appreciate being here. Obviously, I love to talk. I'm an extrovert who works from home, so I just really encourage people to, and Liz kind of talked about this, but not just even for women. Like, even if you think you're going to do poorly, what's the worst that can happen? You can be first boot, and you can come talk to Dustyn and say, oh, "Well, shucks, I'll try again." I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? You meet some great people. You get out of the house, especially post-COVID. I mean, what else? I know. Get out of your house, do something, meet people. If you can't, ask someone like Liz, can I help behind the scenes? Do you need help with editing? Do you need someone to do food service? There's a lot of people behind the scenes making these games work that you don't even know about. So you can get involved in the community even if you don't have a competitive nature, and I guarantee if you do, you will have a competitive nature.
Very good. Well, thank you again, Nicole, for everything.
For having me.
Nicole,
Let me know what you think about the next episode.
Sounds good. We'll be here to cover the next episode, depending on if it's elimination next week, Tuesday, or the week following, depending on how Wes runs the episode. So we'll see.
All right. Nice meeting you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. We're going to end it right here. There we go. Woo. Well, we'll see you next week, Liz, probably.
Yeah. See ya.